There is a passage tucked inside the book of Deuteronomy that has quietly shaped the financial thinking of millions of people across centuries. It reads simply but powerfully now that God gives you the ability to produce wealth. Not the wealth itself handed to you on a silver platter, but the ability, the capacity, the inner power to generate it. This distinction is everything. It shifts the entire conversation from passive waiting to active participation. It moves the narrative from luck and circumstance to purpose and design. The idea that wealth production is tied to a divine gift embedded within a person is one of the most transformative financial concepts ever recorded in ancient literature. And yet, most people walk through their entire lives never fully understanding what this means or how to activate it. The biblical framework around wealth is not one-dimensional. It does not simply say work hard and you will be rewarded. It goes deeper than that. It speaks to identity, to calling, to the unique combination of gifts, talents, and opportunities that are specifically woven into each individual. When you begin to see your ability to earn, create, and multiply resources as something that was intentionally placed within you, everything changes. Your relationship with money changes. Your relationship with work changes. Your relationship with opportunity changes. This is not a prosperity gospel message that promises riches without responsibility. This is a grounded, practical, and spiritually rooted understanding of how wealth generation actually works when aligned with purpose. The original Hebrew word used in that Deuteronomy passage for ability is the word coach, which translates most accurately as strength, power, or force. It is the same word used to describe physical strength, but in this context it refers to an inner capacity, a kind of energized potential that exists within a person and is waiting to be directed. This is critically important because it tells us that the ability to produce wealth is not an external condition. It is not dependent on the economy, on your family background, on your education level, or on the country you were born in. Those things certainly influence the environment, but the core ability itself is internal. It is something you carry. Think about that for a moment. The force that drives wealth creation lives inside you. It is expressed through your ideas, your problem-solving capacity, your creativity, your willingness to serve others, your discipline, and your ability to see value where others do not. Every single one of those qualities is a form of coach. Every time you bring a solution to a problem, you are exercising the God-given ability to produce wealth. Every time you create something that improves someone else's life, you are tapping into that ancient, divinely installed capacity. The tragedy is that most people have been conditioned to look outside themselves for financial solutions when the blueprint has always been internal. Recognizing this shifts your mindset from scarcity to stewardship, from begging to building. The biblical narrative is filled with examples of people who used specific gifts and talents to generate extraordinary results. Joseph used the gift of interpretation and administration to manage the entire economy of Egypt during a 7-year famine. Solomon used the gift of wisdom to build trade networks, architectural wonders, and systems of governance that made Israel the wealthiest nation of its era. Bezalel, a craftsman mentioned in the book of Exodus, was specifically filled with the Spirit of God to work with gold, silver, and bronze. His artistry was considered a divine endowment. These are not coincidences, they are a pattern. The biblical model consistently shows that when a person operates in their God-given gift, wealth follows as a natural byproduct. This is not about chasing money. It is about pursuing excellence in the area where you have been specifically equipped. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 29 says that a person who is skilled in their work will stand before kings. Skill, mastery, and excellence in your area of gifting are the pathways through which the ability to produce wealth flows most freely. The problem in modern culture is that people often pursue income rather than purpose. They chase salaries rather than callings. And while that can produce a comfortable life, it rarely produces the kind of generational, transformative wealth that the biblical model describes. When you align your work with your God-given design, you stop competing with everyone else and start operating in a lane that was specifically built for you. One of the most consistent themes in biblical teaching on wealth is the principle of stewardship. The parable of the talents in the book of Matthew is perhaps the clearest illustration of this principle. In that story, a master gives different amounts of money to 3 servants before going on a journey. 2 of the servants invest and multiply what they were given. 1 buries his portion out of fear. When the master returns, he rewards the 2 who multiplied and takes away the portion of the one who did not. The lesson is unmistakable. The ability to produce wealth is not just a gift to be received, it is a responsibility to be exercised. Faithfulness with small things is the prerequisite for being trusted with larger things. This is a principle that operates with remarkable consistency in the real world. People who manage their current income well, who invest wisely, who avoid wasteful spending, and who continuously develop their skills tend to attract greater opportunities over time. The biblical framework calls this being a good steward. It is the understanding that everything you have, your time, your talent, your money, your relationships, has been entrusted to you to be managed well. When you treat your resources as a trust rather than an entitlement, your entire approach to financial decision-making transforms. You become more intentional, more disciplined, and more aligned with the kind of thinking that actually produces lasting wealth. One of the greatest obstacles to activating the God-given ability to produce wealth is a poverty mindset, a deeply ingrained belief system that says wealth is for other people, that financial success is somehow selfish or spiritually dangerous, or that your circumstances are simply too limiting to overcome. The Bible directly challenges all of these beliefs. In the book of Joshua, God commands Joshua to meditate on the word day and night so that he would be prosperous and successful. The connection between mental renewal and material prosperity is explicit. What you consistently think about shapes what you consistently do, and what you consistently do determines what you consistently produce. The Apostle Paul, writing to the Romans, says that transformation comes through the renewing of the mind. This is not just spiritual language. It is a practical instruction about how human beings change their outcomes. If you believe you are incapable of producing wealth, you will unconsciously make decisions that confirm that belief. You will avoid opportunities, undercharge for your services, neglect your development, and remain stuck in patterns that keep you financially limited. But when you replace those limiting beliefs with the truth that you have been given a divine ability to produce wealth, your decision-making shifts. You begin to invest in yourself. You begin to take calculated risks. You begin to see opportunities where you previously saw only obstacles. Activating the biblical ability to produce wealth requires a combination of spiritual alignment, practical discipline, and consistent action. It begins with identifying the specific gifts and strengths that have been placed within you. Not the gifts you wish you had, but the ones that come naturally, that energize you, and that consistently produce value for others. Once identified, those gifts need to be developed. The Bible never celebrates raw talent alone. It consistently honors the person who refines their ability, who seeks wisdom, who learns from mentors, and who puts in the work required to become truly excellent. After development comes deployment, actually using your gifts in the marketplace, in your community, and in service to others. Wealth is fundamentally a byproduct of value creation, and value creation requires you to show up, contribute, and solve real problems for real people. Finally, the biblical model calls for generosity as an integral part of the wealth cycle. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24 says that one person gives freely and yet gains even more. This is not a contradiction. It is a description of how the economy of purpose actually works. When you give generously, you remain connected to the source of your ability rather than becoming enslaved to the accumulation itself. The ability to produce wealth was never meant to end with you. It was designed to flow through you, to bless your family, your community, and ultimately to reflect the character of the one who placed that ability within you in the first place.